away.
Oh,
Just because I lost like a really awesome conversation about breakfasts yesterday.
look at this shit. It's Nitro Pepsi.
Does it make like fire shoot out of your ass?
We'll find out. Jesus Christ. I was pouring into this skull mug for this podcast.
Oh,
Okay.
we have a weird Pepsi you can get from the vending machines here that's like explicitly marketed as the one to have with a hangover.
Oh, awesome.
It's like wake up Pepsi.
Doc
think,
Brown's wake up
District.
juice.
I think Pepsi was the first. Pepsi in Japan was the first time I ever had a cucumber soda, and now that has become more like I can get cucumber energy drinks anytime I want here.
I know
They've,
me
like,
and Matt
caught
have
on.
talked about this, but have you heard the cucumber gin story?
No.
Well, in a gin and tonic, you know, most places will serve it with a lemon. A good place will serve it with a lime, but you're actually meant to serve it with a little slice of cucumber. So we were at a staff party with a big buffet, and I was drinking gin and tonic, so I put a cucumber in myself from the salad. And then a little later, I went to the bathroom, and Matt very kindly went and got me a drink. I put a zucchini in it without realizing.
Same thing.
Yeah,
That's what I thought.
Well, but also if it's from the salad, then you're probably like putting vinegar into your.
Yeah,
Who cares?
but then
Like-
the rest of the day we were just putting whatever vegetable we could find in our drinks.
I put like a slice of red pepper in my gin tonic. Granted, this
Matt-
is like 7 gin tonics in also, so
Yeah, at that point, I wasn't tasting anything.
I know it's possible Matt's been here, but there is a place here on the park where you can get a Bloody Mary that, well, they say it's like world famous, but I mean, who fucking knows? But it's just a big giant beer mug with like the Bloody Mary in it, and then it's just a beef jerky straw and a stack of like a bunch of meat and tomatoes. I don't know, it's ridiculous. And bacon on it, I think.
yeah, I'm gonna call non-nosies on that one.
I didn't try it, but it's there.
Luke, I don't know if you saw Mark's notes, but Mark did get a date for us here
Oh, when the film came out or when the film's set?
when it's set.
Because someone on IMDb noticed that Asha was born in 2008. So
I see.
So you have to do the rest of the math as well.
2046.
That's right. I already had an opening I wanted to do anyway.
Okay, just do that
Cool.
one. Okay, anyway, I already hit the record, so I guess you can just do that if you want.
In the year 2018, no one watched this movie.
Well, we know about it because Mark brought it up. Oh yeah, intros.
Yeah.
Okay, Matt.
I am Mark. I brought it up.
I am Luke. I said that first bit.
Y'all screwed up I was trying to upgrade our intro where I just like say my name. It'd be like Matt,
Luke.
Sci-Fi Sanctuary guest,
Mark.
upgraded. Okay.
So just off the cuff, do you want to hear about the story of when I saw this?
All right, hit me
That's
up.
what we do at this part of this.
Okay.
thing. Oh,
The story of
before
when
you
I saw this.
hold on,
Go
before you
ahead.
do that, this is like real time podcasting almost. So if you have anything going on next week, you should like tell folks about it. Because you
Well,
finished your film festival, right?
So much for that.
Okay, film festival's finished.
It's
just-
over.
Halo's
Are we
finished?
doing
Did you-
plugs now?
This is
the
one of
upgraded
those-
version.
This is one
Upgraded
of those
podcast.
things where Matt had an idea of the conversation in his head. And even though a bunch of things have naturally happened, he's steamrolling over it with the version that he had in his head in advance.
No, I want. No, what
Like
I've
we introed real naturally. Mark was getting into the first bit of the podcast like, no, I had a plan. We're doing it my way.
no, you're right.
Well, see,
You're right because I'm
the thing
trying
is,
to.
the podcast already happened. This is the plugs at the end, and if you listened really carefully, the whole podcast was just like, and it was transmitted through a very, very fast data file.
It was a super upgraded version of the podcast. Film good, action exciting, actors adequate. End.
Boom. Okay. Yeah, that's the way I do it. No. Okay. So maybe there's nothing going on, but I do have to ask if you finished Halo.
Yes,
Okay, because that was like your main mission of the past month.
I finished the story mode. I also played the multiplayer enough that I pretty much completely burnt out on it. Now all I do is play Dark Souls 3 because I'm too broke to justify buying Elden Ring.
Luke, do you want to play Elden Ring?
if I had arrived home a little earlier before I had to do this recording, I would be playing it right now.
Hell
Okay.
yeah.
The
thing about Elden Ring,
have a controller down here, probably.
Elden Ring is like, I like reading about it just as much as I would like play. I just reading about it. Have you seen the whole thing about Let Me Solo Her? Have you seen that guy?
No.
There's a guy. There's a very difficult boss. I think her name is Melina
Melania?
or something.
Yeah.
Is this one of the
So-
video game celebrities that
This-
gets canceled?
No, not yet.
I don't. This is a streamer who they show up nude, wearing a jar on their head, and they will kill the boss for you. But if you intervene, then they'll leave. And
Okay.
they've become this huge celebrity in like the last 24 hours. You'll hear
Nice.
about them.
Yeah, no, I will eventually I will consume loads of Elden Ring content. But at the moment I'm waiting till I finish the game myself. So
Honestly, I just had like a cheap Steam key for Dark Souls 3 a while ago, and I was like, well, I'll just play this just to get the hang of it. And I'm now like 20 hours into Dark Souls 3 and loving the hell out of that. So
yeah, Dark Souls
Yeah.
3 is a fun game.
pretty rad.
Like Dark Souls 1 is one of my favorite games of all time.
I have that
And
for
Elden Ring
Switch.
is up there.
I have that for Switch, and it kind of sucks to play that handheld, so I haven't gotten very far in that.
I
because of the
I
shoulder
finished.
buttons.
So this is ridiculous. I've finished
Hmm?
Dark Souls on a PlayStation, an Xbox, a PC, and a Switch.
Yeah, you pretty much can. I mean, you can.
Is that like
You can
when
also
win a
use the Ring Fit
Oscar?
controller.
Is that like when you win an Oscar, a Grammy, a Tony, and an Emmy?
Yeah.
EGOT. Yeah, he
Yeah,
got
but-
he EGOTed Dark Souls.
There we go. We've definitely fucked up Matt's plan for you to do your plugs.
This is an upgraded podcast. This is
That's
bonus
right.
content injected into the center of the middle of the intro.
And there was even bonus content beforehand if you're on our Patreon. But anyway, we watched Upgrade because you told us to, and you said it was like Venom, but it's better than Venom. So now it's story time.
Well, I actually haven't seen Venom.
I haven't either. So
I have seen Morbius, which people tell me is like a worse version of Venom.
Oh, see,
Oh.
me and Matt almost went and saw Morbius the other day, but there
It's
wasn't.
bad.
Just because we'd heard so much about how bad it was.
You'll have
There
fun.
wasn't a showing that made sense.
we
You'll
would have
have
had a
fun.
preview too. It would have been a preview.
I'll-
But
I'll give you one spoiler, which is that at some point the TV comes on, and they say that there have been a bunch of murders, and they've dubbed the killer the vampire murderer. That's like the level of the script.
Amazing.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, that one is basically it was the first day of the Japanese work here, and my wife came home really late, and I felt like I'd be a shithead if I just left and watched a movie that was so shitty.
Are you getting Everything Everywhere All at Once there?
I don't know.
think so.
I keep meaning to check the listings, and I haven't yet.
That
We're
is
not getting Sonic till like August.
that
Really?
that was better than Morbius. For one thing.
That doesn't say a lot.
No, it was good. It wasn't as good as the first Sonic, but it was pretty good.
Oh, I thought you meant everything.
No,
Everywhere at Once is
everything-
better than Morbius.
No, Everything Everywhere All at Once is one of the possibly the best film I've seen in like years.
But is it better than Morbius? You haven't answered the question.
Yes. Morbius is not one of the best movies I've seen in years. I'll just say that.
Okay.
So I don't hurt
Not one of the
Morbius's
best movies I've
feelings.
seen in years. It's the best movie.
It's
I've seen.
it's if it was just Matt Smith screaming, then it would be a great movie.
The only thing I've seen Matt Smith in since Doctor Who was when he was in the worst Terminator. film.
Terminator Genesis.
And he was dreadful in that. So
I don't remember what he did. Was he really in it that much, or was he just
he
like
was
I am
all over the
Skynet?
trailers, and then he's in it for like 2 minutes of screen time.
I find it really interesting that they kept trying to cast like weirdos as Skynet. Like, there's
Mm.
Helena Bonham Carter was Skynet, Matt
Yeah.
Smith was Skynet. Who's going to be Skynet next? Jared Leto?
No, he's too.
If it
He's
means he
too much of a
destroys
pretty
his
boy.
physical body and enters the digital realm, then I'm all for it.
Yeah, as I was saying, too much pretty boy.
What if it's Joaquin Phoenix?
Nick Cage.
Oh my God, yes. He'd do it too. If you just tweet that out, and he'll be like, I think I would definitely. I can't do an impression of him. He definitely would. If it went viral, then he would be like, "Yes, I'm open to it." I mean, he's gonna be Dracula now.
Nice.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
Anyway, Let's talk about when I saw Upgrade.
Now let's talk about a different side topic instead.
Well, see, I was playing Dark Souls, and no, there was one guy there besides me, and I'm not like a particularly into talking to strangers, but when we both left the movie theater, we were both just like instinctively just high-fived, and we're like, "Yeah, it was awesome!" And he was like, "I drove all the way here from Alabama to see this." That'd be like the equivalent of driving, I guess, across Japan to see a movie. I don't know.
Came all the way from Alabama to see this. Do you have the accent?
No, he was just
too
a
bad.
regular guy. I
Okay.
mean, he was probably pretty cool. He drove all the way to here to see Upgrade. That's pretty cool.
That is pretty sick.
So you high-fived, and then you told
Yeah,
us to
because it
watch
was awesome. Because it was more awesome than we even thought it would be, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't remember why I even wanted to see it. I guess I was just like, this looks like it will be good.
Well, yeah, on our end, it's like I haven't seen Venom because it's one of those. Oh, I'll see it when we podcast it, and it was on we were about to, and then you were like, no, Upgrade. I'm like, sure, why not Upgrade?
I think the conversation was, I said you have to see It Follows, and Invisible Man is great. Luke is right, and you should also see Upgrade because the Invisible Man guy did Upgrade right before he did Invisible Man.
Well, yeah, I guess I'll tell my version. Mine and Matt's mutual friend Rob has been telling me to watch Upgrade for like 3 years. But I had that thing where it's like, well, I know we'll podcast it, so I'll watch it when we podcast it. And then when you told me it was the same director as Invisible Man, I was like, oh no, we're watching this now.
Yeah, because it is sort of a similar movie, but with just a different rhythm. Because Invisible Man kind of is the slow build up to this like huge, crazy scene in the like towards the end of it, and this has like a few in the sort of paced.
I will say, between these two films, this guy really fucking likes Terminator 2.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which obviously puts him in my good books.
We'll just throw it out on before, maybe it's a later question, but which bar scene is more badass? The word badass does go in my notes like 5 times, by the way.
Terminator 2's bar scene is, I don't know how you compete with that.
Well, this one's not so badass because he goes and hides in the toilets before he does everything.
Yeah, this one's more funny.
Right in the bar in front of everyone.
But
this one's more just hilarious because there's the whole thing with like that he's just lying on the floor for half of it, and
yeah. I just like the him rolling out of the back room in his wheelchair.
A few years back, the WWE wrestling game added the Terminator as a character.
My God, I thought.
But as a promotional thing, they reshot that bar scene with all the current wrestling guys.
Wow.
Yeah,
I have to check that out.
Yeah. Like I think Dean Ambrose was the Terminator. Like it's Roman Reigns is just like a fucking biker dude giving him shit.
Dead biker.
So this is one of those rarefied podcasts where it's potentially possible that someone is listening to this without having seen the movie. Like I want to hear people's opinion first before. So I'll denote it's just a movie. Well, not many people have seen it. So we're going to denote the spoiler line, and it's time for Luke to spoil everything.
I guess I'll say first then, if you are listening to this having not seen the film, stop now and go watch the film.
Yeah.
It's on Netflix, and I think we all heartily recommend it.
Yeah, it's the story. You could write the story on a cocktail napkin, and you would read the cocktail napkin and be spoiled. And that's not an insult. I think I see it as a good thing personally.
Yeah, it's genuinely got a good twist, and also it's just a great action flick.
You can fit the story on your arm, right?
Yeah, but you wouldn't be able to read it.
Right.
You know Gray is a good dude because in a world of AI, he still makes good old-fashioned American cars with his hands, including for rich guy Aaron. Unfortunately, Gray and his wife, Asha, I hate this phone. The screen turns itself off so fast. I just have to hold it like this and like scroll up and down so it doesn't turn itself off. Unfortunately, Gray and his wife, Asha, are mugged. Asha dies and Gray's spine is severed, leaving him with no movement below the neck. Aaron hooks Gray up with a chip that gives him back his movement and then some. Gray and Stem, the AI voice in his head, go on a revenge spree. They dig deeper into the rabbit hole. It was actually a deliberate hit on Asha. But actually, Gray was the target. But actually, it was Aaron trying to create a guinea pig. But actually, Stem was pulling the strings. And now, Gray is living in a dream world, and the AI has his body.
Right on. Okay, that's cool.
So watching it this time, I was like, is this a metaphor for boomers not knowing how to use the internet? Because
I don't disagree, but yes, because
Elaborate.
basically people complain about things, how things aren't the way they are, and then the things that they complain about eventually take them over and control them.
Yeah, that is definitely what happened to like my mother, where she's telling me I'm going to get hooked to the computers and whatever, and now she's on Facebook 24/7, and I like go out of my way to use social media as little as possible.
Yeah, my mother is on a whatever just website with a bunch of little games, and there's just videos. And anytime I have to check her email, make her email work somewhere, I see something where I'm just like, oh, that's not good. We don't talk about it though, because
my granddad downloaded hella porn and tried to tell us it was a virus.
See, that's more relatable.
Yep, we've all been there.
Porn is
that's what happened in Chewbacca's house.
ethical sometimes, most of the time. Porn is more ethical than misinformation. I'll say that much.
Yeah,
legal porn.
Oh, consuming porn is ethical as long as you just find ethically produced stuff.
Yeah, ethically produced, free range porn.
So
cage free.
This movie.
Oh, I'm into the cages.
Yeah, if it's
consent, they're into it too.
Consent. Apple doesn't fall far from the cage.
So this movie doesn't have any like real famo actors, as far as I can tell.
The biggest is the lead, and even he's not huge. I did have the IMDb open and I've closed it. Is it Marshall Logan Green, something like that?
I'm gonna say sure, why not?
Yes,
Logan Marshall Green, the other way around.
Logan Marshall Green, damn it.
Yeah, he has done a bit of stuff, like he's in Prometheus. He's the first Shocker in Spider-Man Homecoming.
Oh yeah, okay.
The main thing I noticed watching though is just how much he looks exactly like how Tom Hardy looks in Venom.
Yeah, I was sitting here.
They play the role really similarly.
That was in the trivia.
It doesn't even matter if we put Tom Hardy in here. It probably doesn't matter, does it? Would this movie be better if it were Tom Hardy?
Tom Hardy is a very charming guy, especially in those films. But I think this guy does a good leading man turn. Anyway.
Yeah, he pulls it off fine. I mean,
even though I didn't see Venom, I did see the Spider-Man movie. Have you seen the new Spider-Man movie yet?
Yeah, man. I saw it thrice in theaters. Okay,
it was very good, but that scene at the end like really confused me until I realized I was watching Tom Hardy. Sorry, I spoiled Spider-Man end credit scenes that don't mean anything.
Yeah. When did the Marvel end credit scene just become like absolute gibberish?
Wait till you see the Morbius one. Oh my god, it is the worst. It is the worst end credits thing that I could even imagine. I could write one down trying to make a bad one.
I think they became unnecessary after Avengers, basically.
Yeah.
Like early on, they were setting up stuff we didn't already know about, right? But now you already know the next 10 films that are coming out. So,
now it's like
in Spider-Man, it has that one for Doctor Strange, which is literally just the trailer.
It is that it's now if they want to surprise you, they do one that's like a funny joke.
Yeah,
like Captain America doing an ad that says,
"That was great.
I thought you were hope you feel good about sitting in your chairs after the movie." I don't know what happened to my voice just then. Sitting in your chairs.
Well, like Endgame felt like, wow, how brave. They didn't have one.
I'm perfectly fine if you want to tell us the Morbius one, because I don't care. Luke, do you care?
I think I've seen it already. It's a bunch of bullshit where they bring in some characters from different films and try and pretend they're in the same universe.
I'll tell you almost verbatim what happens. You're looking at a prison cell. Michael Keaton teleports into the prison cell. He's sort of like dusts his shirt off a little bit. It's like, hope the food's better in this universe. And then it cuts some more credits, and then you see him flying in his like vulture mecha thing, even though I have no idea how he would have that in this universe, up to Morbius who's hanging out.
New one.
And Michael Keaton says, I don't know how I got here. Must have something to do with Spider-Man. Anyway, I saw you on the news and I thought maybe we could team up. And Morbius is like, I'm listening. That's pretty much it. And really nothing Morbius does in that movie makes him seem like he would be interested in being like a team of villains.
Well,
But
it was
also,
doesn't even-
at the
movie.
end of Homecoming, Vulture's not even in that place. Like, he kind of likes Spider-Man because he saved his daughter and him.
It doesn't make any sense.
And he's kind
It's
of the hero of that film.
It literally is just like it's I don't know. It reminds me of that Simpsons episode where it shows Clark Gable and he says, "Frankly, my dear, I love you. Let's get married." And I don't know. I can't tell you why, but it just seems like someone just wrote some dialogue. And
Well, Matt, you remember we were complaining why doesn't No Way Home have a Sinister Six? It only had 5.
Right.
it was
It's
almost
because Sony
seemed like
still wants to make a Sinister Six film.
Ouch.
They don't want to blow the load because they want to bring out a film called The Sinister Six.
That movie, that should have been called Spider-Man Blowing Your Load.
that was. There will never be a Spider-Man movie with a group of villains that's that much fun to watch do villainy.
Yeah,
Like,
it was
why even try to top
stupendous.
that? Yeah, that was just. I went into it kind of skeptical. I was like, this is going to be a bunch of references, and it was like probably one of my favorite Marvel films.
I mean,
because
it was just a bunch of
good.
references, just done well.
But a lot of it was just a bunch of heavies in a room together, just
Yeah.
like staring and being angry, which is like, that is my shit. I love that.
Do note that this
No,
podcast
all that
was
was missing was
Spider-Man, but
the
we didn't do
pointing
that
at the
film.
WWE sign. Spider-Man, I'll see you at WrestleMania.
That was pretty much Willem Dafoe. He's like,
Yeah.
Spider-Man, I'm gonna pile drive you through 8 stories of this apartment building. Ugh. Great.
I feel kind of bad because Upgrade's a really good film, and we've talked about everything but Upgrade.
Okay. My
Do you have
other
any-
thesis statement, aside from it being a metaphor for boomers and the internet, is that it's kind of like Pinocchio if Pinocchio just like murdered everybody to become a real boy.
He made a skin suit out of the other children, and that's how he became a real boy.
Yeah, STEM, it kind of is the protagonist. I mean, it's not like I don't feel bad for Gray, but it's sort of like all of us know somebody who's like, these damn computers do everything. These, it feels like it would be even more annoying in the future, where I
Mhm.
just can't imagine hanging out in 2046 and somebody being like, nothing, like somebody who doesn't remember anything before like 2010 being like, these damn computers do everything. You don't do anything for yourself. Like, that's not fun.
We noticed in time that it's like Hollywood shorthand that using real petrol cars is cool and good,
Of
not like
course.
these electric modern cars.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it's something like you just put that in the script to kind of like spice it up so that the old suits are like, yeah, muscle cars are great.
The fumes are manly air.
Take these $13 million and go film this in Australia.
Before we completely give up on the cast, I was looking through them, seeing if they'd done anything notable, and most of them haven't. They're kind of unknowns, but they do a good job. But the actress who plays his wife, Melanie Vallejo, she was a Power Ranger,
Which
What? I missed
iteration?
that.
like super late. In Power Rangers Mystic Force, she was the Blue Ranger, but that's still pretty cool.
Yeah, sure.
I love seeing a Power Ranger actually get more work after Power Rangers.
Now,
There's
doesn't
also
happen
a
often.
Detective Cortez was in Get Out. I think she had a pretty sizable role. She was one of the people who was like sort of starting to break. I think she was like the housekeeper.
Oh, that didn't actually come up on her Wikipedia. She's in one of the Purge films. I
That makes
don't
sense.
think she's in Get Out, dude. I think you've made that up.
Damn it.
The actor is called
No
Betty
way.
Gabriel.
Hey, Gabriel. I'm looking at IMDb,
that does
and
not-
wait,
Get
wait,
Out
wait.
is the first result.
Yeah, breakthrough starring in. Oh, yeah. But on Google and Wikipedia, it doesn't bring her up.
Damn, Wikipedia has some kind of agenda of some sort.
It's not the same
She's
actor.
also in the Twilight Zone.
Oh, huh.
Oh, sick. Well, that makes sense because, yeah, Get Out, same director.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, she
right.
was, she was good, but you
Yeah.
notice I didn't include her in my synopsis because she kind of doesn't actually achieve anything.
Yeah, it's
Just
funny
follows him
how-
around and then gets killed.
It's kind of darkly ironic how you were talking about Invisible Man is like a great film that's like the female perspective, and this film just basically fridges one woman immediately and then just taunts the other one until just not. This is not like a film that
Well, it is.
it's
It's kind of the
But-
classic, like, male fantasy revenge film, right? Like a Taken or something. I guess with the twist that it is actually the revenge does destroy him.
I guess STEM kind of is a guy.
Yeah.
Well, you were like listening to STEM, right? Why aren't you listening to STEM?
Yeah, basically he's like, no, really, trust me, I know. You should go over to this guy's house.
The performance reminded me a lot of Kit.
I did make a Kit note. Mark made a Data note, and I made a Hal note.
Okay.
Well, we've covered all the bases.
Yeah, now I was thinking about it, Hal is before Kit, and yeah, that is the archetype that they're going for. But yeah, I guess we don't hear that one as much these days.
But I did look up the voice actor in the middle of watching the film. I was like, oh, that's not a person that.
Yeah,
I was like, because I was like, oh,
familiar.
He just does a really good impression, I guess. So
yeah.
The guy who plays Aaron, am I saying it right?
Aaron Musk.
Aaron Musk.
Aaron Musk.
Again, not the same actor, but he looked like Mac Morris from the Saved by the Bell reboot. So I wanted to punch him instantly. Which I think is the point of his character, that someone you want to punch instantly.
Surprised he hadn't been in more stuff, because I felt like I recognized him. But I guess just that character has been in a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's that Oscar Isaac is doing it in Ex Machina, and it's just it's kind of a modern trope, I guess.
Although I also laughed, there's a scene in it where like that guy wears a mask into a hospital, and it's meant to be that signifies that he's a freak.
Yeah, that was weird.
No,
but also, it works because the Gray, who's a Luddite, is like, you don't have to wear a mask. It's like exactly the kind of thing that somebody who doesn't trust computers to be like, yeah, you don't have to wear a mask inside. I love that like the upgraded like criminals all have like weird future names, or like Cirque Brantner. Like Cirque Brantner, like with all the other names being kind of on the nose, and then this guy is just like a bunch of syllables.
People are going to have to start naming their kids that real quick in 2022. Yep. We've only got 24 years. So
that guy probably is already alive.
Yeah.
Sir.
If you're alive today and you've got a kid and you're calling them like John or some shit, fuck you.
Yeah, name them Blorg or Bliff.
Yeah, when I get to 2050, I want to be surrounded by like X's, Y's, and Z's in all the names.
E equals, what is Elon Musk's kid in his name? X times 3, 11, 72. 45.
But also, I think it's just like pronounced Aaron or something.
Yeah. Poor Grimes. I hope somebody rescues her. I hope that NATO gets her out of there.
Well, apparently you say that, but apparently Elon Musk likes taking it like up the butt with a strap on from Grimes. So I think she's doing okay.
Is this the time to talk about where the fuckmaster sticker ended up? So I see Luke yesterday he's making some kind of labels, and I'm like, oh, are you making dirty labels, right? And he's doing work. And then we have an actual work meeting. So the first thing Luke does is take my iPad and slap in the fuckmaster sticker. Later, I'm teaching a class of high school girls. I'm bringing up some picture. I'm opening my iPad. Like, oh shit! I cover it up as quickly as possible. So I'm like, I have to find another place for the sticker. So I go in my drawer and I find from a few years ago, we did like this magic class. And it's like, the thing you would,
like a big pestle for like grinding stuff.
Oh yeah.
This wooden pestle. So I just stuck it on there, and the more I think about it, the more horrible it is, because it looks like a rough.
Matt's got a big wooden dildo with "fuckmaster" written on it in his cupboard now.
So in Japan, like in a Japanese school, can you even get in like the least bit of trouble for doing that? Like there's no actual penalty for English curse words, right?
No, that's why I moved the sticker real quick.
Not necessarily, but if they go around and start repeating it and they're like, where did you learn that? I learned it from Matt. I had a class yesterday where he was trying to get me to explain when it is and it's not appropriate to use the word fuck.
Yeah, that's almost like, I don't want to say a waste of time, but I think in English class there's so much more important things.
No, it is probably the most used word by me and my friends.
When I taught all adults, I asked the manager once, like, a lot of students want to know about, like, these words. Should I be like not doing that? They want to know. Go ahead. Like, and they're adults. I'm like, sure, okay. So I taught a few like blue English classes because the students insisted.
Yeah, like
Cool.
junior high school and up, I teach them it with context. Anything younger than that, I try and discourage it. There was a period a couple of months back where it felt like every kid at once learned about flipping the bird. And they were just doing it. I was like, has this been in like a film recently or something? Because you're all doing it suddenly. So then I just taught them the novelty ones, like playing the trumpet and doing down the fingers.
The inflatable one. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's great.
I think the best iteration of that I saw was the Merry Christmas with the 6-year-old kid just wait on a video for the parents just like waving double barrel middle fingers, smiling and screaming Merry Christmas. I was like, that's magical. That's truly magical.
That's awesome.
So Luke, you want a robot body? You want a robot friend like this?
No. This is explicitly what I always say I don't want. I'll take a limb. I don't want anything that goes in my brain.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like it's not. I feel like if you were Stem's friend, he would have to kill you, right? That's pretty much like maybe. I don't know. They're supposed to be doing a series. Maybe they'll eventually.
At the end, when he's got the body, I'll be friends with him then.
Yeah, but like, what if he's like
in my own body? I'll be
know.
friends with this guy. Yeah.
I feel like you would hang out with him and you would joke about telling somebody about him, and then he would definitely kill you. It's like a thing where you'd have to be so careful.
Well, he's no longer under an NDA at that point, right? Because Aaron.
I mean, he made
maybe.
NDA.
Yeah, maybe it's just after he kills Elon Musk, he doesn't have to do anything anymore.
Yeah,
like he doesn't have to worry.
Exactly, he doesn't really keep doing the sham at that point,
As a robot thing, though, this is like up there with Terminator in terms of purely through the actor's movements, you believe there's a machine in there.
Yeah, that guy, Logan, Brian Logan Green. I feel like I'm just insulting him more and more. Anyway, he did a great job. He did a great job of the whole like shoulders thing. Like, there's like a school of acting that I think Christopher Reeve made kind of famous by like changing his shoulders so you believe that he's Superman when he's Superman, and then being like kind of hunched over as Clark Kent. But like this guy really nails it. Like,
he moves in a way that it's not how a human would move their body, but is like the efficient way a machine would do it. And there's that first scene we see him walk into his house where it's like shot like a video game, and it was like nothing I'd seen in a film. It was great.
Yeah, apparently all the fight scenes, which we haven't really gotten to yet, but I didn't know this, but they tracked the camera like they did by putting a phone in his clothes.
Okay.
And they just motion tracked all of his movements, which I don't know if that means that he did every like stunt by himself.
Possibly.
Well, I was gonna say,
felt like he was.
If they're using some CGI, then that's well done CGI because none of us noticed.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, it was the only thing I compare it to is the Evil Dead 2 like hand scene. It's like
right. Oh yeah. I mean, well, also let's not forget that in Evil Dead 2, Bruce Campbell somehow manages to actually flip himself over. That's amazing when you think about it.
Yeah. No, I don't ever want to like diminish what Bruce Campbell did in that film because it was pretty much just him just doing stunts. It's like him doing extreme stunts for an hour and a half almost.
Sam Raimi bullying him. That's what it was.
Well, it was like interesting going. I rewatched that trilogy last Halloween, and it was really interesting to me how it was like Evil Dead 1 was like a cast. Evil Dead 2 felt like it was Bruce Campbell alone in a cabin with Evil, and then there were some guests. And Army of Darkness just felt like there were only two characters. Well, there were only two characters. There was Bruce Campbell,
a character,
and every medieval person was exactly the same character. And Bruce Campbell was also the evil in that movie. So it just becomes more and more like Bruce Campbell just doing an epic thing by himself.
Well, no one complains too hard, so I guess that's cool.
No,
but that again, BLG, he does a good job of carrying this movie. Is he in every scene? Is this an?
They occasionally cut away to what the baddies are up to and stuff.
Oh yeah. It's praised.
Yeah, that sneeze scene.
Oh right.
That to me was the scariest thing.
That was another one of those films. not enough people give credit to the fact that every special effect of every sound effect of the past 15 years is stolen from
Transformers.
Yeah.
That was
That's
exactly
fair.
the same as that thing that makes itself out of beads in Transformers 2.
I didn't catch that on that, but I was like, all of these sound effects are from the first Transformers movie.
I
Even
think
the
its version
soundtrack-
of like future cars felt probably that is what they're going to look like.
Oh yeah, that was cool.
That's- yeah.
I think it did those pretty well.
But yeah, I mean, we all still want his muscle car though, don't we?
Yeah.
It's
It's
way
like-
more likely that you'll have a car with a bunch of screens on the inside
It
than
farts like a man.
something flying, basically. That's the one that I just don't really. I
I
don't
was
believe that.
actually a little surprised how much of a sci-fi film this was. I figured it was going to take place pretty much in the modern world, and he just happened to have the chip, right?
I mean, they
Whereas
kind of did it
it's
right, where it
more
felt. It
futuristic than
feels. Yeah, it feels near future.
Mm.
It feels like how near future stuff should feel, which is that some stuff is old and some stuff isn't.
Yeah, it doesn't, because the one that really bugs me is when you get the films where it's set supposedly in the future, but everything's the same apart from whatever technology the film's about.
Yeah.
And it's like, so nothing else has developed in these 30 years? Whereas this one, it's like, oh yeah, this technology has permeated the world a bit more, which is probably what will happen.
And there's stuff like Logan's Run where everything is so different that they have to do matte paintings for most of the world.
Sorry, I just had to make the noise.
I mean,
Yeah,
I love it.
I've been
but,
thinking about Logan's Run a lot recently because the new Kirby game, he's set in like kind of a post-apocalyptic Earth. And everyone's saying like, oh, it looks like The Last of Us. But to me, it's Logan's Run.
I feel like
quite colorful for The Last of Us.
I've never really played The Last of Us except for like I was house sitting for a friend and I played some of it and it just felt kind of like miserable. So I just stopped and I played Katamari Damacy the rest of the time I was there.
Here's the thing about The Last of Us. It's fine. But because most video game stories are so bad, people talk about The Last of Us like it's the greatest thing ever made. Whereas like if it was a TV show instead of a film, you'd be like, yeah, it's right.
Yeah, it didn't really. I know there's a lot of like just really dark and disturbing shit in it. I'm just kind of like, it doesn't really feel like something I'd be into.
It's got mediocre shooting and it's got this one puzzle that repeats 30 times, but then the performances are okay, I guess.
Well, the thing I really like, the thing I like from recently is the game Control, because in that game, the only humans you really encounter are your coworkers, and they're kind of obnoxious and kind of shitty, but also kind of helpful. So it just feels like a real office, except for there's a bunch of paranormal stuff going on.
I've got that because it was given away free on PlayStation, but I've never fired it up.
If you like, if you like telekinesis and weird David Lynch stuff, you'd probably be into it.
I probably will like it. It's just time, man.
When
When I was a kid, I had all time and no games. Now I have all games and no time.
Yeah, I wish I could just send a bunch of games back in time to myself when I was playing Atari over and over because I just had like 3 Atari games. That was sad. You know, I could speedrun E.T.
And Raiders.
Imagine if you were sat playing your Atari games and then fucking Control came through the post box. Your dick would explode.
Yeah, it was like when we would have probably cut off our own arm just to get a playable like Galaga at home. Where you, like the Atari could not run Galaga.
We had Galaxian.
Yeah, but then you'd have to be playing
Not
like,
the same.
You got the joystick in one hand, but you're pressing the button with a foot. You cut your arm off.
Damn it. Yeah, like all these future games have so many buttons. I have to use like 2 feet now.
Develop into like a chip man.
Getting back to the future visions, especially Luke, did you ever see the Caprica TV show?
No, I did it. Maybe I saw like the pilot.
Yeah, that's supposed to be like the way distant past, actually, right? But I really like that one because it was like half of it was like 50s and half of it was like 2010s, like 2000s iPod, you know. So I thought
do
that was
like
cool
a sci-fi that leans into like a period future aesthetic, if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
like a Fallout, like is a 50s version of the future.
That was like the best thing about End Time.
There would be, I don't know. Well, I mean, look at fast food restaurants now. Look kind of more like Frank Lloyd Wright houses than. I mean, these influences tend to kind of come in waves. So it totally makes sense that Like I keep waiting for space punk to come back. I don't even know if that's a term, but I just think of I like big white chunky things like the space shuttle. Like I have a couple of gadgets that are kind of like that. I don't think I have any sitting around, but
Your headphones are
that's
kind of that.
yeah, that's why I got these. Are big chunky white headphones.
Yeah.
I guess I like dark. My iPad's black. My phone's black. I like
colors. I
black
like
and white.
the 80s sci-fi or the neon and shit. That's me.
Ah, right.
Thor Ragnarok. That's the aesthetic I love.
Yeah, I got this new phone case that looks like the lizard skin thing.
Sick.
Yeah.
So,
I wanted the purple phone, but they were sold out. But then I was like, well, I guess I'm just going to put it in a case anyway, so it doesn't matter.
How do you
Yeah.
feel about the Memphis style? Do you know what I'm talking about? The Memphis School of Design.
West Memphis 3.
No,
They're innocent.
No, that's very different. No, this is this that 80s thing with
Memphis,
all the
Egypt.
pastels and vaguely Native American looking squiggles and
Oh,
I'm into
see, I
it, sure.
think that's weird. I think of that as 90s.
stuff. It
mean,
went into the 90s a bit
it's-
too.
That's
but,
like that's like
Like the jazz cups.
that's like Fresh Prince aesthetic to me.
Okay, yeah. Fresh Prince is a good standard for that sort of thing.
I guess because that was the thing that adults were into when I was a kid. No, I don't actually like it.
Okay.
That felt like, to me, it felt like that I could feel the 80s kind of waning, and it did kind of. The thing about the 90s that kind of sucked was that the 80s had a lot of kind of dark spaces. Like there was a lot of black walls with neon, so that everything kind of popped more. And then when everything got kind of pastel, then it just kind of everything got like kind of washed out. If that makes any sense.
I think my
well, you know, a
vision-
good example of that is Star Wars.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that.
My vision of the 90s, that the one that sticks in my head, and this is more for Mark, of course, is that massive, insane, incredible universe store we used to have. To me, that was that completely encapsulates the 90s. It's like well, we have the Yamada Denki in Japan. It's like 10 of those piled on top of each other. You know,
Well, they were more
10
like in a big
Best
circle.
Buys. Yeah, it was
It
just
was like a stadium.
lots of neon, lots of pastels, you know, no darkness. It was insane.
Every attempt at making a big giant store, there was like Kmart had a giant store that was called like Fresh Fair or something like that, and it was a giant Kmart. I think it lasted less than a year, but that I remember that was like 1990. It was like when Rico Suave was on the radio type of era. It was like that's
So folks, don't make your store too big.
no, it'll collapse.
So
looking at it, Venom was only 6 months after Upgrade.
after,
Wow.
okay, that's important too.
But
I
a
think.
lot of what they did is I think the way they try and do the movement of it's controlling him and he's not quite in control of the fight. They did a similar thing. I think in Venom, they do use a lot of CG to pull it off.
What's
Whereas
Venom? Of
this
course I
feels
do.
like it's a lot of it is in his performance.
See, the reason I didn't see Venom when it came out, I was kind of looking into this because it was like eventually I heard more and more that I'm like, this sounds like a fun movie, but I think it's like the guy who made Zombieland, and I did not like Zombie. Okay, I guess it isn't. That's weird.
So
I thought
you-
it was
I
the
was-
director of
this month-
Zombieland.
As a 90s kid, I was like, Venom is the shit for me, right? It's like
Yeah,
Spider-Man,
see-
but he's cool and dark and he eats people. So I
Sorry, go ahead.
had like a morbid curiosity about the film. And it ended up having a really 90s feel in the sense that it's a real loose adaptation of the source material in the way that all those superhero films before like Spider-Man were.
So in the 90s, was Carnage a bridge too far for you? Because that was supposed to be cool.
No, Carnage was great because it was like, oh, he's so bad that now Venom can be the good guy.
That's my point.
Yeah.
It was like, it's too much like, you know, like 90s. He's twisted. That's where that comes from.
I think, well, growing up I was old enough in the 90s that, I mean, I knew what all this stuff was, but I had like a weird kind of complicated relationship with it because I was like, yeah, Spawn is super cool. And the Spawn movie came out and I like hated it like a lot. Like I really, and I think maybe it's one of those things where when you get older, you're just like kind of embarrassed of the stuff that you thought was super cool in the 90s. And then as I've gotten even older than that, I'm just like, who gives a shit? Cool, like tentacle stuff.
Many, many people have told me that. The thing is, I didn't have that phase. I've never had a sense of shame.
That's
So,
good. That's
all
really
my life,
healthy
I just like the
because
shit I like.
maybe that's just the millennial thing where I feel like
Nah,
maybe like
I think I am a weirdo because a lot of Pokemon fans tell me the story of like, oh, I went through that phase where, it wasn't cool to be in Pokemon, but then I came back to it in my teens. I'm like, no, I bought every game on release. Like,
yeah, I was probably less fun when I was a kid because when I was a kid I didn't like wrestling because it was fake. And then I got older and I was like, oh no, this is cool as shit, and people
Yeah.
flying around isn't fake.
It's also it's never pretended not to be. Like,
No, it's absolutely. It just is. It is what it is. And
whenever you
it's
say like I like wrestling and someone's like, oh, it's fake, right? I'm like, yeah, so's Spider-Man. Like,
yeah,
Hey,
yeah. So is
Mark,
ballet.
what's the shittiest band you loved in the 90s? I already have an answer.
Wheatus. I was pretty into Wheatus.
I don't know the shitty. I mean, the thing is, a lot of the bands I loved in the '90s became shitty later, like Smashing Pumpkins. I like.
No, I'm like, now
They-
you hear it and you're, man, that really was shit. Okay, my answer for that's gonna be Primus because I love Primus and now it's like unlistenable.
Huh. I don't really. I feel like Primus is one of those things where I'm like, good for them. I mean, I don't really enjoy listening to it, but I'm like, it's at least that guy did something weird.
No, I'm
He
not.
did whatever he did.
Yeah, I'm not like he's an asshole. I'm like, good for him. I'm just like,
Yeah.
man, this stuff sucks. But
No, I made the mistake of I liked one song from Busted. And then for like 5 years, I got the Busted album every Christmas. And I was like, thanks.
okay, that's an answer I'll take. I'll take that one.
I mean, I see. The thing is, like when Korn came out, I was like, oh, that's it. Music is over for me. I am an old person now who is out of touch with things. So that's like a weird thing where, like, talking about not being fun when I was younger, I was just like ready to be an old out of touch person. And then Korn kind of went, all that new metal just kind of went away. And I was like, oh, well, sometimes it just goes away and you know,
So yeah, I was
like,
the age to be into that stuff, but I never was. Around that time, I was just into my dad's music.
Yeah.
my friends would be listening to Korn and Linkin Park and all that. And I was listening to like Dire Straits and Pink Floyd.
that's a lot of people too. I was like, I thought it was genuinely weird when I was younger and there were people who were into Pink Floyd, but it's like now I know people who are super into, I mean, I know people, I don't know. I know somebody who's your age, Luke, who's obsessed with Def Leppard. And I'm like, that's kind of weird, but it's also kind of cool because sometimes you just need to be reminded that it's like I've gotten really into disco and like old 80s Euro pop from like the early 80s. But
For some reason, a few weeks ago, I was trying to play Luke only shitty Beach Boys songs.
I mean, why not? I mean, but it's like Billie Eilish, who is literally a child. It's like I relate more to her music than I do to a lot of things that I grew up with in the 90s.
Billie Eilish is great.
I don't know. Guns N' Roses, that's the shittiest band I like in the 90s.
Okay.
Right?
I saw a kid in a Guns N' Roses
time.
t-shirt yesterday, but he definitely didn't know what he was wearing.
I mean, they had that album that was like an Aerosmith album and it was good, but then also if you dissect some of those songs, there's some kind of bad choruses.
Hey, what is the Ray Kurzweil date for the Singularity? Is it 46 or 48 that he keeps spitting out?
2048?
Yeah, okay. I was wondering if this movie was
I don't know for
dovetailing
sure.
that date. Yeah, it seems
Well,
a little off.
I've heard people talk about the singularity as when AI becomes self-aware, and I've heard people talk about it as when humans merge with AI. This is the film that was both.
That's why I'm asking.
Which is kind of interesting.
From what I've always read, I mean, I've seen the singularity defined a million different ways, just like grunge or whatever, or cringe. But basically, what I always read that made sense to me was that the singularity is when technology starts changing so quickly that it almost just exponentially changes, and then life is just unrecognizable.
That's already happened in the past 200 years.
I would argue that
there's like 3,000 years of human history where pretty much, we use chariots, but now horseback is a little more successful, and we used a brass sword, but now an iron sword is. But like, if you take someone from 300 years ago and show them today, it's literally unrecognizable.
I believe this may be a little pessimistic, but I believe that it's not going to be an exponential increase in tech, but we're kind of riding this wave down because what I'm seeing is that Moore's law doesn't really apply anymore. Used to be you'd get it, I don't know, you get a computer every 3 years and it would be so much faster than the last one is just insane. And now we kind of have things like,
well, like the PS5 has been out for a year and I've yet to see a reason to buy one.
exactly, but people are buying them because I think people desperately need to cling to the idea that things are advancing. But if
And
you look at the
recently-
numbers,
Recently, my phone was busted, and I was like, I guess it's time to get an upgrade. And I've got a brand new phone. I spent a fucking ridiculous amount of money on this. I'm doing
Yeah.
exactly the same shit I was doing, slightly faster.
yeah, it was been a real eye opener. I upgraded iPhones twice in the past 2 years,
Mm.
and
Ooh,
The-
yeah,
to the two SEs, the cheap ones. Anyway, but the iPhone 7 I had, I was like, oh, there's a bunch of things this thing does wrong that suck. And when I upgrade, I immediately notice that the new phone is doing the same things and that it's just that iOS has bugs in it and it sucks.
Yeah,
And
I
that's
mean,
pretty much the same thing.
it's like, why do you need to update all the time if you're making things worse? Now I sound like the boomer that this
well, that's the
movie
thing,
is
though.
becoming as.
The app ecosystem is becoming more and more like a mall where like you go to apps that you used to have and they're not updated anymore and they just won't open. Or in one case, I had a posture tracker where the company that started it was purchased by another company and they just crippled the app. So you'd buy their new device. So it was
kind of
just
ironic that they
useless.
crippled the app, and now it's going to cripple you because your posture's fucked.
Yeah, I'll show them. I'm just
still-
going to hunch over more and more.
Like,
I'm
well, we need to
still
get people on our app, so we're just going to slowly, over the course of a year, tell them to hunch more and more and more.
Yeah, I'm going to get the hunch app.
You're
Yeah,
a fucking lizard man. Like, oh, I think I need a new app.
They're like, you must pay another $100 if you want to continue walking upright.
I'm still somewhat bummed that I can't
Reject
play
the
the
app,
match
return to
3
monkey.
game, the match 3 game Star Trek: The Jewels of Wrath. It was fun. I thought it was a terrible game. It's a terrible game I enjoy, right? It's one of those things.
Well, you remember, Matt, the last time I went to Japan in 2012. It was like a few months after I got my first iPhone, and I had a bunch of cool like time wasting dumb bullshit. And Hana loved to like, I kept like giving her my phone so she could just do weird things where you just would whatever
Tend to
shake the
drink a
phone to
beer
make
or whatever. Yeah.
yeah, and all those are just gone. I mean, because Apple like took them off the store or whatever.
Apple doesn't care.
No, now you just look at the
No.
constantly rolling scroll of all the reasons the world is fucked and feel depressed.
Yeah, or you're like,
That was the plan
this,
all along. Bait and switch.
or you're something like, I need to put text onto a photo. I will download this app that is free, and then it'll be like subscription $10 a month if you want to use the app after you download it.
Yeah.
And that happens like every time now, unless
You can
it's
put text on
broken.
your photo, but we're also going to have our logo taking up half the photo. Unless you pay $10 to half the logo or $20 to get rid of it entirely.
I used to weekly check the app stores and see, hey, what's there this weekend? I never check the app store now.
Nope.
The last time I downloaded a new app was when Pikmin Bloom came out. And the next time I download a new app is when the next Nintendo game comes out.
On Upgrade, which we keep avoiding, is I do have a train to catch. So
Is this-
there's some salient points.
This is
we need
one
to
of
throw
those
out.
things we've discovered about this podcast is the better a film is, the less we have to say about it.
It speaks for itself.
Yeah, which is, that's an argument for why this show, I guess, shouldn't exist.
Well,
Every week we'll just put up an episode that says like, oh, go watch this film. Okay, bye.
I mean,
I
should
don't
should any program exist? This is just another reason to have an app that's going to eventually stop working.
Oh yeah,
I
this
feel
is
like-
just some sounds to fill the void for a little while. That's what podcasts are for me.
well, we've done a lot of tech talk here, right? And I do feel like there's a pretty,
I think our
big
tangents have
Venn-
been semi-relevant. Yeah.
I'm saying there's a big Venn diagram between the gaming community and this film, because this is kind of like this is a bit of a LARP of a video game, right?
This is a film made by gamers. The way the camera
Yeah.
is used and sort of tracks the movement. Apparently, he based his performance a little bit on one of the characters from Overwatch.
Huh. Okay.
So there is. So that's my point. I was saying,
This
okay,
is a gamer's film for sure.
because there are a few times
Tracer,
on the
maybe?
gamer stuff, and I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. But I'm like, actually, it doesn't matter for
No,
Upgrade,
it was like
'cause this is a
she's called
film.
like This is definitely not the name, but Zendaya,
Oh, right, Zendaya.
something like that. Yeah,
Zen-
who apparently moves in like an AI way.
Yeah, okay. I think she's the one who's like, rise from the I haven't played it in like a year.
I haven't
remember.
played it, and I'm definitely not going to now.
I went back to it because somebody gave me free loot boxes with my Amazon Prime subscription. And you're not missing that much.
Fucking now that is the 2022 sentence. I
Yeah.
went back to Overwatch because I had free loot boxes for my Amazon Prime subscription.
Yeah, when they announced that Amazon Prime was going up, I bought a gift subscription to give myself so I would dodge that. This is just so dumb. And it's just like to justify having extra TV to watch, really.
You need to get that sentence printed on a T-shirt, but don't start wearing the T-shirt until like 2032.
I'll wear it once so that AI will start like copying it and selling it.
Yeah, I guess, is this film just still like a rank obscurity? Is it? I mean, again, the hold up
It is
question
getting a
doesn't quite work.
TV sequel, so I guess some people were into it.
Okay, like a
It's picked up.
thing.
It's picked up, and I know that because just like Dread a few years ago, there were people I told to watch it, and then they came back and were like, dude, have you seen Upgrade? I'm like, yeah, I told you to watch it. That's how you know something's good.
But I feel like
Caught on.
I haven't seen this action anywhere else. So regardless of it, I think it's an interesting sci-fi film. I think it's got fun performances, whatever. It's worth watching just because those fight scenes are not like any other fight scenes I've seen. And I don't get to say that very often these days.
That is true. Yeah, it's like that's sort of like the sugar that gives you the medicine of the cool like sci-fi story, but then the medicine is also good. But the sugar is really good.
You know what other action film did this kind of fighting? Jackie
that?
Chan's The Tuxedo,
Oh yeah,
where the suit fights for him.
Have I seen that?
probably not, because
I don't
that's when we had
remember.
quit watching Jackie Chan films.
That's when he was making American shit. But yeah,
Right, that's a
I haven't seen it, and I can't remember if it does it well. But I could imagine Jackie Chan does a good job of, whoa, my suit's fighting for me. What's going on?
Because the way Jackie Chan films come out in the 90s, I'm sure Mark remembers this, they started just with the really badly dubbed, like Hong Kong funded, but made in Canada ones. We were like, are these American? They're tricking into thinking they were American films, kind of. And then they actually started making the American ones. So that we got like 3 really awesome ones. And then suddenly, why do these suck all of a sudden? Oh, they're Hollywood productions now.
Yeah, Hong Kong shit is definitely where it's at, because that's where they just let him do whatever he wants,
and we were
regardless of risk of death.
And we were even getting the grade B Hong Kong stuff in the theaters in the 90s. We weren't even getting the real good stuff.
Yeah, now I guess they don't make it anymore. I'm really confused about that because I mean,
I think he still does a bit of stuff, but obviously he can't do what he used to
and
do.
Hong Kong's got a few problems of its own.
Also, he's like weirdly pro mainland China.
It's really weird the stuff I kind of went down a rabbit hole reading about the situation with Jackie Chan and what it might be, which is that apparently there's a lot of weird corruption in Hong Kong cinema where like producers will just be like, make more movies for me, I'll kill your family. So I read that it might be something like Jackie Chan is just reacting to that, being like, I would rather support mainland China than have like some producer be like, make 10 movies next year, I'll kill your family. I mean, who knows if any of that is even remotely accurate, but
I mean, I've read both of Jackie Chan's autobiographies and that doesn't come up.
That's like, you can't talk about that, right? Unless it's entirely fake.
In 20 years we'll be able to talk about it, right? But
but it's so weird. It's so weird, like how their output, like there was so much out of Hong Kong, and now I just don't really know.
Well, I mean, there's a pretty good reason why they're not making a bunch of human contact movies in China right now.
Well, yeah, of course, right now. But I think it's something like mainland China.
I think it's been a while since we've had a lot of good, but maybe it's just that Western distributors don't want to share Chinese kung fu films right now.
Yeah, because we all know. I mean,
there could be something. Yeah,
who was saying in the 80s in Australia, there's like really like he knows a bunch of indie bands, for example. We didn't know the replacements because they just didn't get distributed in Australia. So that sort of thing.
Well, there was a weird thing where that guy Rodriguez was super huge in South Africa, but he was from like Detroit.
Yeah, that was, and he didn't know about it. Searching for Sugar Man or something.
Yeah, do you remember when I worked at the mall back in the early 2000s? Like I worked for a South African guy. Yeah. And he had that Rodriguez CD and we started listening to it like, man, this is good. And he had like a weird accent. He was like, you know who Rodriguez is? He had a speech impediment. He's like, you don't know Rodriguez? He's Rodriguez.
No,
he was literally something like
yeah,
that.
I worked for him for a few weeks, and he'd give me a giant pile of money, send me off in his car, and then give me like incomprehensible directions.
Yeah, his mouth was always kind of like hanging open.
But anyway, I got to put the kibosh on things today, unfortunately, because I need to be walking out of my house in about 4 minutes. So,
oh shit. Okay.
Mark, it's Tuesday. What are you doing?
You know what? I'm gonna start making TikToks under the vertical disintegration. Fuck Twitter unless Elon Musk is I don't know, assassinated or something, I guess at this point. Who knows what? Who knows? Vertical disintegration on TikTok.
Sure,
it's
why
one
not?
word.
Okay. That was the most bizarre plug we've had. Luke, go ahead.
No one's listening to this as their first episode. You know where to find us.
Right on. Hey, you got your game show. We're game show.
Copy
listeners.
paste.
Yeah, I just take the advert on the end of this one. There you go.
Okay. Oh yeah, I've been.
Yeah, you copy and paste the plug section for another episode if you want.
You already heard it. You're pissed that I'm mentioning because you already heard the plug probably. So okay.
Upgrade.
Get upgraded. Okay, Luke, your turn.
Upgrade my dick to one that's not full of piss.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Pleasure, guys.
Word up.
Good luck. Good luck, Matt.
That's cool. I got my time.